Have you ever wondered if a man's real feelings for you, his deepest emotional truth, might not be found in his words at all? Instead, it might be seen in something far more raw and revealing, how he acts in bed. This idea may sound unusual or even bold, but it is rooted in one of the most respected psychological ideas of the last century. Carl Jung, the Swiss psychiatrist who changed how we understand the mind, believed that love is more than just a feeling. It is an unconscious, natural force that comes out in moments of vulnerability. In other words, the truth of how a man feels about you cannot always be spoken, but it can be observed, especially in the quiet, open moments of intimacy. That is why today we are going to look into 4 unconscious behaviors that, according to Jungian psychology, show not just desire but true devotion. These are not just habits, they are revelations. And if you have ever found yourself asking whether it is real or just sex, these signs will give you the clarity you deserve. Let us start with the first and perhaps most powerful sign: deep eye contact during intimacy. At first glance, it might seem simple or even obvious, but what happens when a man cannot stop looking at you during your most personal moments? When his gaze stays longer than expected, not out of lust, but out of something quieter and unspoken. Jung called the eyes the windows to the soul, and that is not just a poetic phrase. In the unconscious mind, the gaze is a natural way of sharing the truth. Words can lie and actions can be a performance, but the eyes show the true self. A man in love may not even realize how long he is looking at you. He does not plan it or practice it, he just does it. In that moment, he is not just looking at your body. He is showing his own need for connection, his trust, and his surrender. I used to believe long eye contact during sex was just about passion or ego, or maybe about power and visual excitement. But I am not so sure anymore. When a man holds your gaze while he is vulnerable skin to skin, it is not about what he sees. It is about being seen. He is saying, "This is the real me, and I have nothing to hide from you." Whether he knows it or not, that is a big act of love. But let us not get too romantic too quickly. Not every intense stare is based on love. This is why this sign must be understood alongside what Jung called the anima, the inner feminine part of a man's mind. When a man's anima is awake, he seeks a deep connection rather than just a win. That is when his eye contact becomes less about owning you and more about being there with you. It is subtle, strong, and hard to forget. But here is the emotional twist. When a man avoids your eyes during intimacy, what does that mean? Maybe he is distracted or shy. But according to Jung, it could also mean something deeper, a guarded self, or a part of him that is not ready to be known. Avoiding eye contact is not just about being absent. It can be a form of resistance. It might show a fear of being seen too clearly, a sign that love, if it exists, is still fighting against feelings of shame or old pain. That tension between connecting and pulling away is the place where real intimacy is either started or blocked. And yet, when the gaze holds and 2 people look at each other without masks, there is a moment where the rest of the world seems to go away. Time slows down and the ego disappears. In that quiet stare, he may be telling you something he does not even have words for. He is saying you are not just a body to him, but a mirror, a home, and a soul he recognizes as his own. And that realization is only the start. What happens next when eye contact turns into action? When a man's focus shifts from what he wants to what you feel, it tells us even more. What does it mean when a man, in the most private moments, seems more concerned with your pleasure than his own? Not as a show or a trick, but naturally, with a quiet energy that feels almost sacred. According to Jung's psychology, this is not just being nice, it is an unconscious act of devotion. When a man loves deeply, he does not just try to put your pleasure first. He cannot help it. Something inside him, older than logic and deeper than desire, takes over. This change is the second sign, selfless giving during intimacy. Jung often spoke of the sacred union, the blending of opposites like male and female, mind and body, and self and other. In love, these forces do not just meet, they melt into one another. A man in lust wants a climax, but a man in love wants a connection. He becomes tuned into you, your breath, your rhythm, and your needs. He learns what you like not by asking, but by listening with his body and his attention with a sense of deep respect. In doing so, his pleasure becomes yours. There is a line he does not cross, the line between taking and offering. When a man is emotionally bonded, his instincts move from consuming to giving. You will see this in the small things, like the way he slows down when you need more time. He might ask gently if it was good for you, not because he is worried, but because your joy makes the act complete. You will feel it when he remembers what you liked last time and does it again, not to impress you, but to honor the bond you have built. He becomes less worried about how he performs and more focused on how you feel. That shift from performing to being present is where love lives. This kind of giving is not just about skill. It is a way of healing. A man who puts your pleasure first may be someone who has dealt with his own hidden fears or shame. Jung believed that intimacy shows our hidden selves, the parts of us that usually stay buried. When a man has faced those inner struggles and no longer feels the need to prove himself, something beautiful happens. He gives not to earn love, but because he already feels it. But let us stop for a moment. Sometimes selfless behavior can be misunderstood. What if he is just good at sex? What if he is just well-trained? The answer is in the feeling behind the action. Is it consistent or is it a plan? Does he care about your feelings outside the bedroom, or does the giving stop after the climax? Love does not stop when the lights go off. The real sign is how he stays attentive without trying. It is not a job, but a need to make sure you feel held, seen, and cared for. His body language and his timing show one truth: you are special to him. There is something almost holy in that exchange. It is not just about the body. It is about the spirit. Jung described it as a balance where the one who leads gives in to the one who receives, and both are changed. This is not a man trying to show he is worthy. This is a man who has seen your worth. Through your pleasure, he remembers his own soft side and his own ability to love without any conditions. But there is a part we have not finished yet, a feeling still moving under the surface. What happens after the giving? When the act is over and the room gets quiet, what does he do then? That is where the third sign shows up, and it may be the most emotionally raw one of all. It is easy to focus on the passion during sex, the excitement, and the surrender. But the real test of an emotional bond often comes in the quiet moments after, when bodies are still and there is nothing left to prove. This brings us to the third sign, a man's openness and affection after intimacy. What a man chooses to do after the climax says more about his heart than any "I love you" whispered in the heat of the moment. Carl Jung believed that our defenses and the masks we wear in public fall away most easily when we are vulnerable. Intimacy is a doorway, not just into the body, but into the unconscious mind. When a man is in love, his behavior after sex shows the truth. He might not even know it, but in that afterglow, when the heart is wide open, he reveals everything. You will see it in the way he holds you longer than he has to, as if your presence keeps him grounded to something real. He might speak in a softer, slower way, sharing memories or thoughts he would never say during the day. He may touch your skin without thinking, like a ritual to remind himself you are there, or he might rest his head against yours, breathing at the same time, saying nothing and yet saying everything. These moments are not by chance. They are signs of feeling safe. Jung called this the integration phase, the coming together of the different parts of ourselves. A man who stays emotionally present after sex is not just being nice. He is letting himself stay open and unprotected. That is rare because many men are taught that being a man means staying detached. So when he stays close instead of pulling away, when he lingers instead of leaving, he is going against those old rules and fears. This is where the emotion grows stronger. Some men disappear emotionally after sex, not because they do not care, but because they do not know how to stay. Their defenses come back quickly, and they create distance. For a woman who wants closeness, that moment of pulling away can feel very sad. That is why a man who stays physically and emotionally is making a big statement. He is choosing to stay even after the show is over. When a man loves you, staying after sex is a confession. He may tell you stories from when he was a kid or admit things he is afraid of. He may seem smaller and more human than ever. And that humanness is the proof. He trusts you not only with his body, but with his inner world. That is not just about attraction. It is about surrender. I once thought being open after sex was something you had to earn over time. But now I see it differently. It is about trust. And trust does not always use words. Sometimes it shows up in the way he reaches for you in the dark or whispers something small just to keep the connection going. These are not tricks. They are the true self coming to the surface. The soul is saying that this place is safe and it can stay. But the body does not only speak through touch. It has its own quiet language and rhythm that we do not control. When love is real, that rhythm gets deeper, which leads to the final sign. It is the most silent one of all. There is a kind of closeness that words can never describe, a quiet current that flows between two people. When love is real and the connection is deep, it is not loud or planned. It just happens. And when it does, it is something you never forget. This final sign is perhaps the most invisible but also the most certain. Moving together and copying each other without thinking. You do not plan to breathe at the same speed. You do not try to move at the exact same time. You do not script your touches or your moments of being still. They just match up as if your bodies have entered a shared dance that you never practiced, but both of you know by heart. Jung called this a mysterious participation, a state where the lines between two people start to fade. When a man is emotionally tied to you, his body literally starts to match yours. This is not just a nice thought, it is biology. Scientists call it limbic synchrony. Your heart rates sync up and your tiny movements reflect each other without you trying. But what is more important is the emotional safety that allows this to happen. This matching does not happen when people have their walls up or when trust is missing. It only comes out when the mind feels safe enough to let go of control. You will notice it in the small moments, like how his hand finds you just as you move closer, or the way the silence between you feels full rather than empty. A man who matches your movements naturally is not just copying, he is resonating with you. And that is the proof that he sees you as part of himself in a way that feels sacred and right. Why do some loves feel like they have always been there, even before the first touch? Why does a look or a sigh feel like you are recognizing someone rather than just meeting them? Jung believed it is because when a man falls deeply in love, he is meeting a reflection of his own inner self. In that reflection, everything feels familiar. That feeling leads to a natural matching of movement, emotion, and breath. Your body becomes a memory he didn't know he had. Your presence brings up something very old and certain. That is why you move together as if you have always known how. This matters because this matching cannot be faked. Unlike romantic gifts or planned words, These shared movements are natural. They come straight from the heart. If his body matches yours and his touch knows what you need before you say it, he is not acting. He is truly there with you. All of him is with all of you. Casual meetings rarely have this kind of harmony. In those moments, the body stays guarded and the mind is on alert. But when love is there, those lines go away. The body stops acting and starts remembering. That is the gift of moving as one. It is the mind saying that this is safe and this is home. These 4 signs, deep eye contact, selfless giving, being open afterward, and moving together, are not a checklist, but a feeling. They do not shout, but you will feel them in your heart. His love will not just be something he says, it will be something he shows without even knowing it. But now the question is for you. Because love is about listening to your own gut feeling when these signs appear. Before we finish, there is one more truth to face. The body never lies about love. Jung saw love as a big psychological event where the deep mind shows itself through touch and gaze. That is why these signs are so strong. They are not just to impress you, they are honest confessions of the heart. They speak of 2 people being in total sync. When a man holds your gaze, puts your joy first, stays open after sex, and moves in rhythm with you, he is showing that he is fully connected. His love is no longer just an idea, it has become who he is. But it is also important to know that if he does not show these signs, it does not mean he does not care. It might mean he is afraid or not ready to be vulnerable yet. That does not make him a bad person. It just means he is still growing and learning how to handle his own inner world. This is why being aware is so important. When you know what to look for in his actions rather than his words, you see clearly where you stand. So think about your own life. Does your partner show these signs? Have you felt that easy rhythm and that soft care? Or have you noticed that these signs are missing? Think about your experience, because when we look at love honestly, we understand it better. If this talk helped you, stay with us. Next, we will look at the other side, the red flags and the warning signs that show when a connection might not be deep or real. If you want to understand that, let us know. Until then, remember that the inner mind always speaks. You just have to listen to the quiet moments. That is where the truth and the love really live. Have you ever felt that something was wrong even when everything seemed perfect on the surface? Just as the body has natural ways of showing deep love, it also has ways of signaling when a connection is built on a shaky foundation. Carl Jung believed that the mind often tries to hide its darkest parts, which he called the shadow. When a man is not being honest with himself or with you, his unconscious actions will eventually give him away. Understanding these red flags is not about judging him, but about protecting your own heart from illusions. The first major warning sign is what we might call the performance mask. In a healthy connection, intimacy is about being seen, but in a shallow one, it is about being watched. If a man seems too focused on how he looks, how strong he appears, or if he treats intimacy like a movie scene rather than a real moment, he is likely stuck in his ego. Jung would say he is playing a role rather than sharing his true self. This kind of man seeks your applause, not your soul. He may be very skilled, but you will feel a strange sense of loneliness even when he is right there with you, because he is not actually present. He is performing for an audience of one. Another red flag is the immediate withdrawal, often known as the post-coital chill. We discussed how a loving man lingers and stays open after intimacy, but a man who is emotionally unavailable will do the opposite. He might suddenly become very busy, check his phone, or even leave the room right after the climax. This is more than just being tired. This is a psychological defense. By pulling away so quickly, he is rebuilding the walls around his heart before you can see what is inside. To him, the vulnerability of the afterglow is a threat, so he runs back to the safety of his own shadow. You should also watch for the broken mirror. We know that healthy lovers naturally fall into the same rhythm, but a man who is disconnected will often feel out of sync. His touch might feel mechanical or poorly timed, as if he is following a manual rather than listening to your body. There is no resonance or limbic synchrony here. This happens when a man views his partner as an object to be used rather than a person to be joined with. If your bodies feel like they are speaking two different languages that never meet, it is a sign that the emotional bridge between you has not been built. Finally, there is the sign of selective intimacy. This is the man who is only warm, giving, and attentive when he wants sex, but becomes cold or distant the rest of the time. Jung warned about the persona, the face we show the world to get what we want. If his kindness is only a tool to get you into the bedroom, it is not a reflection of his heart. It is a tactic of his ego. Real devotion is a straight line that continues long after the lights are back on. If his care has an off switch, then the intimacy you are sharing isn't a sacred union, it is a transaction. These signs can be painful to recognize, but seeing them clearly is the only way to find a love that is real. Your intuition is a powerful gift, and it usually knows the truth long before your mind is ready to accept it. If you feel like you are chasing a ghost or living in a performance, trust that feeling. You deserve a connection where the unconscious speaks of safety, not of secrets. Knowing the difference between a man who is simply shy and one who is emotionally unavailable is the key to understanding if a relationship can grow or if it is a dead end. On the surface, both men might seem quiet or hesitant, but their inner worlds are completely different. Carl Jung believed that our behavior is driven by what lies beneath our conscious thoughts. A shy man is someone who wants to connect but is held back by fear, while an unavailable man is someone who has built a wall to keep people out entirely. When you are with a shy man, you will notice a slow but steady opening of his heart. He might avoid eye contact at first because he is nervous, but as he begins to trust you, he starts to linger. His vulnerability comes out in small, clumsy ways. He might blush, stumble over his words, or show a quiet kindness that feels consistent. In Jungian terms, he is a man whose inner self is ready for a bond, but his persona or public face is just a bit fragile. The more time you spend together, the more the walls come down. There is a sense of warmth growing over time, and you can feel his effort to be present with you. In contrast, the emotionally unavailable man operates from a place of control. His distance is not about being nervous, it is about staying safe from the threat of true intimacy. You might notice that he can be very charming and confident at first, which a truly shy man rarely is. However, as soon as things get deep or serious, he hits a ceiling. He might be great in the bedroom but cold at the breakfast table. Unlike the shy man, who gets closer as time goes on, the unavailable man creates distance the moment he feels you getting too near to his true self. He uses silence as a weapon to maintain his independence rather than a space for reflection. A major clue is how they handle your emotions. A shy man may not always know the right thing to say, but he will stay in the room with you. He might look uncomfortable, but he is listening. The unavailable man will often make you feel like your needs are too much. He might shut down, change the subject, or leave the house when things get emotional. Jung would say this man is disconnected from his own feeling function, meaning he cannot handle your heart because he has not yet learned to handle his own. The final test is the direction of the relationship. A shy man's world expands as he lets you in. You start to meet his friends, learn his secrets, and see his soft side. The unavailable man's world stays small and compartmentalized. You are kept in a specific box that only opens when it suits him. If you feel like you are walking through a fog that is slowly clearing, he is likely just shy. But if you feel like you are banging on a locked door that never opens no matter how much love you give, he is likely unavailable. Trusting the difference between a man who is afraid to fall and a man who refuses to jump will save you years of silent heartache. To truly understand if a man is capable of the deep love Jung described, you can use subtle emotional tests during regular conversation. These are not tricks or traps. Instead, they are small invitations for him to step out of his shadow and into the light of a real connection. By observing how he responds to these moments, you can see if he is building a bridge toward you or a wall against you. One of the most effective ways to see his heart is the vulnerability mirror. During a quiet moment, share a small, honest truth about yourself. Something slightly personal like a minor fear or a childhood memory that shaped you. Then pause and wait. A man who is emotionally ready will meet you in that space. He might not have a perfect response, but he will offer a piece of his own truth in return. This is the synchronization we talked about earlier. However, if he quickly changes the subject, makes a joke to deflect the feeling, or becomes visibly uncomfortable and pulls away, he is signaling that his inner door is bolted shut. You can also try the consistency check. Pay attention to how he treats the spaces between. As Jung noted, the truth often lives in the quiet gaps. Send a simple, thoughtful text or bring up a topic you discussed days ago. A man who is invested will remember the details because you are a priority in his mind, not just a temporary interest. An unavailable man often has a selective memory. He remembers what serves his needs, but forgets the things that matter to your heart. If his attention feels like a flickering light, bright one moment and gone the next, it is a sign that he is not yet integrated enough to sustain a real bond. Another powerful test is the boundary reflection. Gently express a small need or set a simple boundary, such as asking to see him on a specific night or mentioning something that made you feel slightly uneasy. A man who is capable of love will listen with respect. He may not agree with everything, but he will value your perspective because he values you. An emotionally unavailable man often views boundaries as a threat to his control. He may react with anger, act like you are being difficult, or use silence to punish you for speaking up. This reaction shows that he is more committed to his own defenses than he is to the relationship. Finally, look for the future vision. Bring up a plan or a dream for the future. Nothing too heavy, just a someday idea. Watch his eyes. A man who sees you as his home will lean into the idea, even if he is shy. He will start to use the word we instead of I. But an unavailable man will often flinch at the mention of the future. He prefers the now because the future requires a commitment he isn't ready to give. By watching these small reactions, you move beyond the surface of his words and begin to read the true map of his soul. You stop guessing and start knowing.